Alarming rates of cancer, particularly cervical cancer, and those are rising in sub-Saharan Africa, where efforts to control communicative diseases like HIV and AIDS are improving and more people are living into their older age. Cervical cancer presents significant public health today and threats and continue to scare lots of women. It's preventable, yes, but how do we prevent cervical cancer or the other types of cancer? That's what we'll be talking about today in your program, Turn Up, a program that seeks to empower women and the girl child still does. Hello everyone and welcome to another exciting edition of your program Turn Up. We broadcast every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Canal the English, and today we focus on cancer. We talk about all forms of cancer or all types of cancer. We focus on women. Why is it affecting women more today? We talk about cervical cancer. How do we prevent cancer? What's everything about cancer? Symptom, causes, treatment. We'll have the finest specialists who are here with us in the studio. We'll be right back after the jingle. Discussion begin. We have our guests right here with us in the studio. I'm sure you want to know who they are. We have Dr. Simon Pechulano. I hope I pronounced your name well. You're welcome to the program. You're welcome to Canal the English. You're welcome to Turn Up. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
All right.
Yeah.
Now you are of the Salvation Medi-Rescue Mission for Africa.
Yeah.
Now, what's it all about? Though we're still going to come back
well,
to talk
Salvation Medi-Rescue Mission for Africa is a non-governmental, non-profit, non-political, non-denominational social organization dedicated to meeting the needs of the poorest communities in Africa. And these needs are medical, spiritual, and some essential needs like education, good drinking water, and environment.
Okay. More about lifestyle? Getting people to have a better lifestyle?
To improve their lifestyle.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we were focusing on the poorest communities in Africa.
And you're equally sensitizing more on cancer?
Yeah, presently we're working on sensitizing people on cervical cancer. Honestly, cervical cancer is perhaps the greatest threat to the lives of women, because as we speak globally, a woman dies every 2 minutes.
Okay.
Because of it.
Okay, we're going to be talking about that all throughout the program. We equally have Dr. Silvanus Chike.
Yes.
Now, hope you're doing great today. Now, we're talking, you're part of the Salvation Medi-Rescue Mission for Africa. Now, what's the objective? What have you achieved so far?
Yes, actually, like my colleague talked about cervical cancer, our greatest purpose, achievement, is to go into these preventive measures of cervical cancer. We want to achieve it through screening, through vaccination, and through palliative care.
Now, how do you intend to go about it? Because we're talking about cervical cancer, and we're talking about this population, the vulnerable, those in the suburb. Now, how do you reach out to them to talk about this?
Yeah, we have been in partnership because cervical cancer is so huge. No single organization, no single corporate organization of government can even handle cervical cancer alone. We are in partnership with faith-based organizations. We're in partnership with corporate organizations. We're in partnership with our international friends like in Ghana and in Nigeria and other parts of the world.
African countries.
We are in partnership with men and women of goodwill, because cervical cancer is not just about women. honestly, I believe if you are a real
Because most of us out there will know that it's about, when you talk about cervical cancer,
Yeah.
it's women.
Yeah, it's women, but if you are a real husband, if your woman has cervical cancer, then you're finished, because you are finished. Except you want to go and get married to a second, just because your wife has cervical cancer. It's a terrible thing. So it is our problem, everybody, and it is for that reason that I think all hands must be on deck for us to reach the WHO millennium goal for cervical cancer by the year 2030.
Which means that the men are involved in the campaign.
Everybody should be involved.
Because the men,
Because if you target men, women, you target men, they're partners.
Exactly.
because one of the risk factor is multiple sexual partner, and you don't expect a woman to have sex like with a woman and live together. For example, if you have a man getting married to maybe 2 or 3 wives, and that man is having the virus, it is possible that those viruses will going to be transmitted to those 3 partners.
Okay.
If a man has a wife and he has other girlfriends outside, let me say he has 2 or 3 girlfriends outside, he goes this way and take type 1 of the cancer, go this way and take type 3, go this way and take type 4, he will come all and give to the wife at home.
Does it mean that it's sexually transmitted?
It's
Of
sexually
course.
transmitted, and he has
That is the number one way
Okay.
of transmission. Yeah. Sexually transmitted.
100% sexually transmitted. Be it you use condoms or not, it's sexually transmitted.
It's a virus. And
Most people don't know about that cervical cancer is sexually, maybe they think that you get it from some other thing, don't know that maybe multiple partners you can have cervical cancer.
that is why we are really focusing on it, because this, unlike other cancers, so many other cancers like breast cancer, which could be genetic and other,
Okay.
cervical cancer is caused by infection, and the infection is human papilloma virus. We have more than 150 strains of human papilloma virus, and within those 150, about 10 to 13 strains are capable of causing cancer of the cervix.
Okay.
Although not just the cervix, sometimes it will cause cancer of the vulva, cancer of the vagina, cancer of the anal, cancer. You know, it could even cause oropharyngeal cancer, cancer of the tongue. For example, men that are involved in oral sexual intercourse could get oropharyngeal cancer. They could get cancer of the base of the tongue, of the mouth, because of that.
Okay.
Then because it could penetrate any cells, epithelial cells that are vulnerable. It could just get there and start developing and alter it.
I think, Dr. Silvanus, I think I want us to come back to defining cervical cancer.
I will start I'll just give one statement about cancer. Cancer is just defined as the abnormal growth of cells. Cells, they have a particular pattern of growth. But once they start deviating from that pattern, it deviates from the body's mechanism of action. It starts leading to cancer.
Okay.
And it starts spreading.
Okay.
Cervix is the lower portion of the uterus. The uterus is also called the womb. That lower portion is what we call the cervix. So cancer of the cervix is just the cancer that affects the lower portion of the uterus.
All right. Now, when we look at Africa as a whole, we look at Central Africa, where we find ourselves. Now, how common is the disease?
Oh, it's one of the endemic areas. Endemic means an area that has the disease like very common. For example, malaria is an endemic disease in Africa, unlike in Europe, America, and other places. Endemic means it's very common. It's like 7 to 10% of human beings. If you get 100 people, you could get 7 to 10 people that have cervical has been exposed to human papilloma virus that probably has changed the cells of the cervix, as you said, altering it. They call it pre-cancer stage, and then perhaps if it's not taking, something is not done about it,
Okay.
you go down to the invasive cancer stage, which
means that the figures are on the rise.
Yes.
well,
Yeah, right.
yeah, they are, and it's very common. That's long and short.
If you look at in 2012, WHO reported that every year about 250,000 women die of severe cancer. In 2019, last year, the report that it did in 2018, it came out in 2019. It also stated that what every year it has left from 250. Now it has gone up to 310 women.
10,000.
10,000 women dying everywhere. So you see that. the
That's
more-
scary.
Yeah.
Very scary.
The more we are coming towards, we are growing older, the more the cancer rate is increasing if we don't protect it. If you look, for example, a country like Cameroon, the HPV Information Center states that in 2018, it states that every year about the number of risks of women that are at risk of having severe cancer in Cameroon is about 6.7 million women. This year, last year, 2019, they report that the number of women that are at risk of having severe cancer in Cameroon is about 7 million. So from 6.7 to 7. So it shows that once you expose yourself on risks and you don't prevent them or you don't treat it, it can develop to cancer.
Now, the question I want to ask, what's the risk factors? Because it's like, I mean, when I get the figures, it's like you jump out of this chair.
Good. We have risk factor. The first one we have mentioned, multiple sexual partners. That means you don't stick to your partner. You have,
But can you stick to one partner and still have cervical cancer?
yes, if that partner has the virus before it came in.
And the partner will get the virus from who? If the partner too has multiple partners?
Because there are other risk factors that the partner can have.
Yeah, that's what we want to find out.
Good. Secondly, if you have a woman that maybe at times or a mother, they say they love their children too much and they want to take care of their children. A woman that uses her towel, clean herself, and cleans her baby's self with it can also transmit the virus. Because the virus lives in the body and also lives on the genital area. That's why in the first case I say, be it condoms or no condoms, once you have cervical, the virus in you, it lives on the genital area. As far as the genital area comes in contact, it transmits. Except you want to get a condom that will cover all the genital areas. Another risk factor is people that are smoking. Smoking in the sense that statistics show that once you are passing through somebody that is smoking, just passing through, you have taken at least 30% what that person is taking smoking. So smoking also is a risk factor. Then,
So if I just inhale a seed, maybe
yes,
none of license, I inhale it, I have this, it's a risk factors already for
it's a
me.
risk factor already. Another risk factor is multiple bed. For example, if you have more than 3, 4 pregnancies, 5 pregnancies, there is something they call it, the cervix has 2 types of cells. You have the squamous cells, it has the columnar cells. The columnar cells are not exposed, especially during puberty. After puberty, they are not exposed. But once a woman is pregnant and delivers, the columnar, as the baby is coming out, the columnar cells have been exposed. And those columnar cells are so fragile, they don't fight against infection. So once they have been exposed, the HPV virus can easily come and attack those cells and stay there and start growing there. The squamous cells, they are stronger. They can fight and resist the HPV. That's why when we talk about this cervical cancer and the human papillomavirus, we know that there are 2 things here. The HPV attacks you, your immune system can fight it away, or it progresses. So there are 2 things. Either it regresses or it progresses. Once it progresses, it causes cancer. Once it regresses, it can go away.
Okay.
So one of the risk factors is when you have multiple bed. Another one is you will see women that they are like, some will say that what, I don't care where, whenever, they will ask to advise their children, please, I want you to give birth by the age of 18, 17, 16. Women that are easily exposed, girls that are exposed to pregnancy, or they are exposed to sexual intercourse, they are also at high risk of having a cancer.
At that
because
early
of their
age?
immune system.
Early age.
Yes. Their immune system
When they'll
is
tell you
very
that
low.
it's good to have your babies maybe at 18, 20,
That is-
when you're 30, 40, that's another risk.
18 is not bad.
Okay.
Yes,
Above
18
18
not
is
bad.
adult.
But
Mm.
below 18 is a
That's-
higher risk
Alright.
for it. And that is why, if you look at one of the preventive measures of the cervical cancer is through the vaccine. I think we should be talking about that.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it.
But now the
So
person
to
want
add,
really,
to
okay,
add
okay,
a
go.
little, human HIV virus that causes human deficiency is a very great risk factor. People with HIV virus develop cervical cancer easily.
Very easily.
Yeah, because their immunity is very low. Just like he said, the body has the capacity, even when you are exposed, to fight, to resist the virus, and it will not cause any cancer. So a lot of people are moving. Over 90% of women, by the time they are at the age of 30 or 50, 90% of women have been exposed to human papilloma virus. But not all of them, because it's a very common virus. But not all of them will develop the cancer because of immunity.
Alright.
Then there's this drug, testosterone, that women take. It was very common in the 80s for prevention of, prevention of, what can we say now? When prevention of, no, not bleeding. That's premature delivery.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So they also found out that children that were born or women that took that were predisposed to cervical cancer.
Now, Doc, I want to ask this question. Now, when
Yeah.
you look at women in Cameroon, in the sub-Saharan African countries, now, do you think they are conscious of some of these risk factors?
Oh no, not at all.
When you talk with them on a day, do you think they are conscious?
Even we're talking.
Or they live in ignorance?
Even health workers. I mean, there are a lot. There are so many. We are really. This is the time for us to really sensitize, create awareness, because even when I was in the medical school, I only got interested in cervical cancer when I came out of school. When I started practicing and seeing women within the age of 30 and 40, they already have the cancer, not even the pre-cancer, because pre-cancer can be treated. I started wondering, how could we, because if you examine a woman who has the cancer, real cancer, the cervix is hard. You could make a diagnosis right there that bam, this cervix is cancerous. I was really wondering why nobody was talking about it. So the awareness is so low. Even at the level of health workers, not to talk of laymen, not to talk of those women in the rural areas who do not
Who are not aware.
Yes, it's alarming.
That's
it's
how,
a
when we
problem.
come to about your policy, how to reach out to them, I'm sure you talk more on how to reach out to women in the rural areas, because it's
Yes.
not just
We
about
have a
women
strategy.
in the cities, but we have women in the rural areas. We are suffering
That
from
is
some of
our
these
focus.
risk factors.
Yeah.
But now I want to ask a question, Doc. Now, who should be blamed for this? Because health officials are aware that this is happening. Government is aware that this is happening, but nothing is being done on the field concretely to reach out to these women, to talk to even women. You hardly see sensitization programs on cervical cancer. You just hear it by chance, and the women are dying every day.
I think I will answer that question in two parts. But the first part, which is the most important, one professor once said that if a woman dies of cervical cancer, the health personnel around that vicinity, they are held responsible. That means if a woman dies here now, any health personnel around here is responsible.
How? Why?
Because as a threat to human life, especially women, every health personnel has to educate the population about this cervical cancer. If not aware of it, they have to be trained of it. Most of the time, we go to an extent also to also look at it this other way. Yes, we can also might be blame the population. There are some that you sensitize them, you talk to them, but they don't listen. Some they prefer that when they have something like malaria, they're having cold, that when they rush to the hospital. But one thing with this disease is there is no symptom when it starts. And for you to ask an African man to go to the hospital when there is no symptoms, he will look at you like you are a stupid man.
Okay.
So one of the aspects we also blame the population, another aspect we also blame the health personnel.
All right. Now, you just talk about symptoms, which means that if you're suffering from cervical cancer, is it easy to know at the beginning when it starts?
Mhm. That is even the more reason why we are talking about it here. I believe so. Because if it was a disease that you get and then you start feeling some pain, I'm sure so many lives would have been saved. And most of in fact, 80% of the cervical cancer in this part of the world is not diagnosed. You only see, you only see the patient when it has gone into the into the invasive cancer
Stage,
level,
okay.
which is so terrible for us, because even as a
That's
health,
when it's deadly.
you know, that's when the treatment becomes complex. You could have to remove the whole uterus, plus the cervix
can
and the
survive.
vagina and the if
have
it's stage.
patients who
It
survive
depends
at
on
that
the
stage.
stage. Yeah, it depends. There are some stages that you don't even need to touch anything. You just do radiotherapy and chemotherapy and immunotherapy just to prolong the life of the person.
Okay.
But nobody really wants to get to that level, because as a doctor you're treating somebody and you know this person will eventually die within the next 2, 3, 4 years, and he's spending millions. It's not hundreds. But if this is a disease that if you get it in the pre-cancer stage, which is what we're trying to screen and get, you can treat it just like this.
All right. So how do you prevent it? How do you prevent it?
3 methods of prevention.
Okay.
First, primary prevention. The primary prevention we use vaccines. The vaccines are available to vaccinate girls and boys from the ages from 13 to 26.
But so I've heard people say they are scared of those vaccines. They can cause some other thing in their body.
Yes.
I've even seen some parents refuse their children to take those vaccines.
Yes.
Now, can you tell us more about the vaccine and convince these parents on the need for them to have the vaccines?
There are 3 types of vaccines.
Okay.
We have, most of the time, the parents, they are not aware of the vaccine. But there are 3 types. The first I'll begin with is Cervarix. Cervarix is against the 2 types of the virus.
Okay.
The next is Gardasil. Gardasil is against the 4 types of the virus that can cause cervical cancer and genital wart. The next is Gardasil 9. Gardasil 9 is against 9 types of the HPV viruses. One of the things that happens in our African context is social media. At times with the WhatsApp, the Facebook, someone can have an impression that they gave this to my daughter and the daughter collapsed, which is one of the side effects. Can collapse and will be like the whole world should know that vaccine is a dangerous one. But if you see something that the ministry has approved, it means that it has gone through several trials. Countries are using it, and the ministry have approved, and you say you don't want your daughter or your child to go for the vaccines, then you are putting that girl at risk. Because tomorrow, when that girl will indulge into sexual activity, you will not know. When that girl will harbor the virus, you will not know. For instance, you see most of the girls, they come at times with their fiancé and they say, this is somebody I want to get married to. And by the time you're looking at, it has gone to the invasive state. And most of the time, they are like, some of them are quite lucky that it is between stage 0 and stage 2A, which radical hysterectomy can do. And in radical hysterectomy, they have to remove the womb of the uterus. Though you are getting into marriage, they have to remove your womb. And most of the men, they flee away.
They run
So
away. No man
you,
wants
will
to
you
get
blame
married to a man who
you
can't.
blame the ignorant girl that did not receive the vaccine, or you blame,
You
the
blame the
parents?
parents.
So most of the time, as parents, once you have an information and you are doubting, if you have any faith, any doubt, better get to the health personnel or get to the hospital and find out. And the hospital will give you clarification. I don't think there's a hospital that where you go there, they'll give you false information.
Oh.
they will give you clarification. They can go on with your vaccine.
All right, now, all right, you're still talking about the
Then,
different
good.
ways.
Then you
to
see the
prevent.
secondary prevention.
Okay.
The secondary prevention, we have screening. Screening like pap smear, like HPV DNA, like VIAVLE. There are different categories of screening. Why screening? Screening is to screen and check and see these people that were exposed to sexual intercourse that were not eligible for the vaccine, or the vaccine are not available. Let's check and see if this cervical precancer has started developing. If it has started developing, then treatment is 100%. Once you see the cervical precancer at the early stage, you treat it, then effectively 100%. But once you allow it and you don't go for the screening, then treatment is maybe going to have 85 to 0%.
All right.
And one of the things that we also see with this secondary prevention is there is no symptoms, but you need to go to the hospital. There is no symptom, but you need to
You
go for
just need to go
checkup.
for screening or for
Screening.
checkup.
That
Yeah.
is it. You need to go for
What
screening.
people don't have the habit of doing.
That is it. We have to keep on sensitizing, educating. And at times you educate and you educate without getting tired. There's never a time in this world that a health personnel says, I'm tired of talking to the population.
At times we have this free screening, but the number of people who turn out.
Good. People nowadays, when they look at free screening, those that turn out, they says, oh, it is good idea. Let me go and check myself. But others, they have some mentality. Might be somebody came from one point at time and did some free screenings or something, and then went with the result somewhere abroad, and they start manipulating with people's ideas. Then they just build on that
It's about the
impression.
mindset.
Yeah, that if somebody is free, maybe it's not good.
Okay.
But one of the things I always say is, once you get an information, try to verify it before you could draw a conclusion.
All right.
Then the next stage is what we call tertiary prevention. In tertiary prevention, there are people that they have gone beyond the stages of stage 2A, stage 2B. And in that case, we can give chemotherapy, radiotherapy, or palliative care. In that case, like in the case of palliative care, is just to give some pain medication, then calm the patient down, and tell it that very soon you join your
That's
assistance.
very expensive too.
Yeah, no.
All right. Now, Dr. Simon, I want to find out now, what's your association? We are talking about Salvation
Rescue
Mission
Mission
for
for
Africa.
Africa.
Now, what's it doing to reach out to women? Because we're talking about sensitization here. We want to bring more women on board to come for the free screening, to know their status. That's why we are here today. That's what we're talking about. Now, what are you doing at the level of mobilization? What are you actually doing to get more women come for this screening?
Yes, we, considering the gravity of cervical cancer, I think it's a tragedy for any woman to die of it. And to reach out, we don't want to limit ourselves to ourselves. We're trying our best to involve everybody that is willing, because you and me and him out there or she out there has something to offer as far as preventive measures for this disease is concerned. It's a disease that we can actually have zero more. It's possible to have no death,
Okay.
because that has been done in Canada, in Europe, and you know,
We have countries where you hardly hear about
the
cancer,
death
cervical
rate is
cancer.
so small.
Okay.
Why? Because of what we're trying to do: sensitization, awareness, and screening. I'll say it again: sensitization, awareness, and screening. If you cannot screen, you can sensitize.
Okay.
You can create awareness in your local communities. Everybody can do something very little. And if everybody does a little, all of us will do something big. That is, we are not that big, but we are going to be doing something. Martin Luther King said, if you cannot fly, run. If you cannot run, walk. If you cannot walk, crawl. And if you cannot crawl, just be doing something.
Okay.
And I know what that man did in the United States. I think that's a great policy and a great philosophy for us to start imbibing as Africans, as Cameroonians, as villagers. Just do something around your community, and then we will soon find out that everybody cervical cancer will become a household name in a short while. The only reason why this disease is defeating us is because no people are not, the willpower to do something is not there. What is, as a doctor, it pains me to see a woman with cervical cancer because I know it's a piece of cake. It can handle it like just like this prevention, as just as he said. Treatment, if we get it at the pre-cancer stage, it doesn't take anything to treat it. It's a very, so why should we allow it to happen? And honestly, I have a passion for women. I have a passion for women because I think women are so disadvantaged in this part of the world. And I have a passion for women because I lost my mom at the age of 13. Why? Because